Hello everyone and welcome back. Dawn, my dear, can you please pull up the results of my poll that I posted so we can see what we're going to be reviewing today?
Yes, master, right away.
You fucking people.
Are you okay, master?
Just start the video.
Yes, master.
Holy shit! Hey, where'd you come from? How'd you do that?
Give me your guns and your clothes. Now!
Whoa, hey, buddy, that's not really my thing. Hey, what are you doing? Don't touch that! Ah!
Freeze, creep. You are under arrest. Come quietly, or there will be... trouble.
Negative. Walk away if you want to live.
You are coming with me. Alive or dead.
Fight!
Out of my way.
Take that, criminal.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Good news, scum. You are no longer under arrest. Do you plan on hiding forever?
Time to bring you down to earth.
Your move. Property theft, resisting arrest, assaulting an officer, murder. Your hot streak ends here.
Fuck you, dickwad.
You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you exercise it. 9 shots. You're out. Checkmate. What are you doing? This fight is over.
Not yet.
Hydrogen fuel cells ruptured.
You are terminated. I'll be back.
Okay, let's get this over with. Terminator versus Robocop. What did I think of this? Well, genuinely, I'm pretty mixed about it, because on one hand, this is a pretty well-made death battle. Granted, this was before Death Battle got lazy. This was back when Death Battle actually gave a shit, and it shows. Really, I can only name one really big issue I actually have with this fight, and that's the matchup itself, Terminator versus Robocop. Now, I understand that the reasoning for why this matchup exists is because Terminator versus Robocop was a really big thing in the 80s and 90s, and it was something people speculated on way before Death Battle or even Deadliest Warrior even existed. It's one of the oldest versus debates that we have seen since the infamous Goku versus Superman. So while I can understand why this fight exists, my main issue with it is how one-sided it is. Unfortunately, the Terminator literally has no chance in hell against Robocop, and that is kind of frustrating. Because, as I've mentioned before, there is nothing more frustrating than a matchup that you already know the outcome to. Now, maybe back in the day people didn't know any better, but someone at some point should have been able to figure out that there is a vast disparity difference between power right here. I mean, literally the only advantage, the only singular advantage that the Terminator had was speed. And you remember how in past videos I mentioned, or those of you who have had debates with me in the Versus community, how I have said that speed doesn't guarantee you victory? Well, this is a perfect example of what I mean by that. The Terminator held the speed advantage, but he still lost. Why is that? Well, because contrary to popular belief, just because you can speed blitz someone, that doesn't automatically mean you have the ability to kill them if their power and durability is stronger than the amount of damage you can actually deliver. And even in terms of arsenal, the only weapon that the Terminator had that was capable of doing anything to Robocop was his plasma rifle. And that's my main issue here. There is just too much of a disadvantage for the Terminator here for this to work. Now, I will give Death Battle credit. They tried their hardest. They really went out of their way to make this matchup work, even though, by all accounts, this is a spite death battle. Now, sure, this may not have been intentional, as this is a debate that has been brewing for a long time, and if the people never got this death battle, then people would have just kept debating it and kept debating it. And if you remember, back in the day, Death Battle was always about settling debates. It's one of the reasons why Goku vs. Superman at the time was such a big deal for them. Because at the time, similar to Robocop vs. Terminator, Goku vs. Superman were two of the big titans in the versus community. But I still can't ignore how much of a bullshit one-shot this is. Now, sure, technically, the Terminator didn't get one shot, but he might as well have, considering that he never had a chance in hell. However, with that being said, everything else is fine. The animation is pretty good. Like I said, when Death Battle decides to stop being lazy and actually get around to doing 3D animation, they can make good stuff. The soundtrack is also pretty good. I like how there's a variety of different soundtracks rather than just using one singular soundtrack. In fact, I actually missed when Death Battle had variety in the soundtracks rather than just getting one guy to do a soundtrack for them. So, I am glad that that's there, and like I said, Death Battle really did do their best to make this work, and it is a cool fight. Looking back at it in retrospect, especially compared to all the shit fights we get now, this is still pretty well made, and it's really hard for me to hate it, because as I've said in previous videos, I can forgive a lot if the fight itself is good. And you know what? This one is perfectly fine. The back and forth banter between the Terminator and Robocop, it works, and I do admire the effort here to bring the two characters to life. One thing I really don't like is when Death Battle will bring together two characters but make no attempt to actually bring their personalities into the fight. That is always infuriating when they do that, so that's at least a good touch here. And the research, once again, it's fine, but as I've said before, the results are kind of bullshit due to how fucked that the Terminator is, but there wasn't really much that I think Death Battle could have done about it, outside of just not doing the fight in general, which, considering how big this matchup was, this was likely an inevitability. And outside of the matchup, I can't really think of any big criticisms that I would have, and thankfully, they're not necessarily at the point in where they are now, where they have to keep constantly filling up the episodes with so much cringe humor, which lately has been getting worse and worse, especially in regards to their latest episode, Dragon Zord vs. Mechagodzilla, which is a conversation for another day. But I am glad that, looking back at these older episodes, I could appreciate the times when Death Battle wasn't so obnoxious and retarded at times. So, as much as I might still be apathetic towards Death Battle, looking back at an older episode did at least help me respect something that was once great. And if I'm being honest, I can actually recommend this episode to you, and in terms of a final score, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. However, it loses a lot of points for the bad matchup, but since the bad matchup is the only real negative strike against it, and everything else does actually work very well, and they did their best to make this work, then I'll cut them some slack, and like I said, this was one of their older episodes back when I actually remembered having respect for Death Battle. So, if you kind of hate Death Battle right now and you want a good fight before they went full retard, this would be a good episode to go back and rewatch. And it was nice that my fans recommended to me a episode that wouldn't make me want to blow my brains out like I thought for certain that they would, so I'm at least glad I didn't have to talk about something like Ace vs. Natsu or Naruto vs. Ichigo, which I am dreading the day when I ever have to cover those fights. But I promise, when you ever do ask me to do those fights, I will jump headfirst into the nearest wood chipper. But, with that being said, I'll see you guys around next time, and with all seriousness, let me know if there's ever any more death battles you want me to cover, especially some of the older ones. I know you guys do genuinely seem to love when I do these videos, and while I may hate talking about Death Battle to an extent, I still love putting out content that you guys love, and if this is what you guys love, I perfectly understand, and don't be shy to ask for more. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys around next time.